We all have a group of people, a bunch of people, women, men, children that are waiting for us to tell our story. God has connected you. He has assigned these people to you. And if you do not tell your story, you are letting them down.
Get the help that you need so that you can be the best mom, the best parent for your child. Your story matters and you're not alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You won't get, the help if you don't reach out and you don't ask for it.
Hi, and welcome to another episode in another season of the Woman Witness podcast on the Woman Witness TV network. I'm your host, Leah Fortier. Here on this platform, we bring to you voices of dynamic women that are out there making a positive impact in their lives, in their families, in the community around them. Women of resilience, women of faith, women who have battled through something, and they are bold enough, strong enough to turn around, grab the hand of another sister, and be a witness. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Jasmine Luter. She is a ministry wife, a mom of 3, and a bold voice for women walking through the trenches of motherhood and faith. Jasmine and her husband serve their church in New Orleans, where she pours into women and couples through her ministry. By day, she works in the public health sector. And for years, she has written blogs and platforms like Lifeway, speaking directly to the hearts of women. And since 2018, Jasmine has been serving moms in all stages of life through MomCo, formerly MOPS, Bible studies, and works with Black New Orleans moms. She brings both wisdom and honesty to the table. And as we talk today about postpartum mental health and what it means to root your identity in the Lord, I'm so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Miss Jasmine Luter. Jasmine, hi, welcome to the Well. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you? So
I
excited
am.
to be here.
Oh, I'm happy to have you, and I'm doing well. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for coming in here, pouring out your ministry. This is something that you do, something that you are a ministry wife. You have 3 children that you're raising, and you also make to create a whole ministry for women. Don't know how you do it all, but hopefully you're going to give us the secret sauce today. Let me stop talking and ask you just to tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your journey in motherhood and being a pastor's wife and what those early stages look like for you.
Okay, yeah, sure. So you probably hear from a lot of ministry wives that like, oh, looking back, I never thought I was gonna marry a pastor and all of that. The whole cliche. I was one I was one of those too. Actually in college, I went to Xavier University and I was attending our current church here in New Orleans. And my aunt, she's been a long time member since like the 1990s. And she was saying, oh, you've got to meet the pastor's son. He would be great because he's very outgoing and friendly. He's a real people person. And she
Yeah.
oh yeah, he can introduce you to people, help you get acclimated. And so we met, and it's actually funny. When he met me, he was like, oh, she's very pretty, but how do I put it? I don't think I would be able to afford her because the way I dress.
Yes.
And when I saw him, I was like, oh, he's nice. But, he was just so friendly and all over the place. I was like, oh, he wouldn't, I'm too mellow, low key, introverted for somebody like that. But we got to know each other a little bit more throughout our college years. And then when I moved to Dallas, when I was getting my master's degree in public health, that's when we started dating and got to know each other a little bit more. And now here we are. We will be celebrating our 15th wedding anniversary this year in December. And so, yeah, but those early days of ministry life, I grew up in church, but I wasn't, my mom and dad, like they weren't, the leaders of the church. And
Right.
so that took a while. In fact, it's still that's something I'm still adjusting to. Like I said, being more of an introverted nature, and like I can do people, but then I need to go back home. I need my space to like calm down.
Yeah, decompress. Yes, absolutely.
But what really helped me was the program that I just finished from at New Orleans Seminary called Thrive. And it just helps ministry and we took different classes, scripture based classes on the Old Testament and the New Testament, and like how to study that and how all scripture weaves together. That was a class called the Grand Narrative, and then it also teaches you about like balance and family life and
Mm.
women. It's a lot of different classes, but the purpose behind the program was that the president of the seminary, his wife, she said, and she has her PhD, I believe, in women's ministry, but she studied how ministry spouses were coming to seminary and the husband was getting all this training, all the theological training, studying, and the wife, like, what was she getting? And so,
Mm.
in a lot of programs, like, do more of like the homemaking kind of thing, which is all well and good.
Right.
But like the theological and like, you know, the last class I just took was how to study and teach the Bible. It teaches you how to do like Bible study lessons. And that's not something that I've ever like had before. I've taught Bible study lessons before, but now I feel more prepared because I have,
Yeah.
that class like teaching me
Right.
tools and tips on
Hmm.
how to do that.
What is that program called? It's called Thrive.
Yes, it's called the Thrive, and then they have also Thrive Plus, which is 4 extra classes, which I've taken 2 already, and then I'll be finishing the last 2 of that. And that helps also for people who are trying to do international missions, like for the IMB. It helps the wives train for that, for doing international missions.
Oh, wow. Okay, I love that. Can we just say that? I love that because I do believe that like societal expectation for the pastor's wife is to be able to minister to other wives, other women in the
Right.
church, and to kind of take them under your wing when you're just like, hold on, I'm still trying to learn this myself, and trying to understand. I think
Right. Right.
I do believe that the calling that the spouse might have still may be similar to yours, but you still need that training. So I do love that you're getting that help so you are able to help other women. I love that. I just love that.
Yes,
Look,
yes.
I know.
Me too.
Um, Thank you for letting us in a little bit on, your roles and, motherhood, and also being a pastor's wife. I want to
Mhm.
move a little bit to what you said that you wanted to talk about, what you wanted to
Yeah.
really highlight today, which is
Yeah.
mental health and
Yeah.
postpartum. Talk to us, bring us back to some of those early days of your postpartum. After postpartum.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I had my son, he will be 13 in February of next year. So he's 12 right now. And so, yeah, after I had him, like I knew, and like we were discussing a little bit before, we started on the podcast, but, like I knew about certain mental health things that related to postpartum, but that wasn't really something that was discussed
Yeah.
12, 13 years ago. It's becoming less and less of a stigma now. I
Right.
still feel like there's a little bit, of a stigma with it, but it's, you see celebrities and things like that, they're becoming more open and talking about it more, which is great. But after I had my son, I was just feeling like not like myself, like not like how I felt before I had him. I wasn't really sure what was going on. And so I started to do like some research. And then I remember my mom telling me about after she had my sister, which was way back in the 90s. And so that
Mhm.
definitely, not something
No worries about
that
that.
was
Right.
that was really
Mhm.
talked about back then, and how she had kind of dealt with some postpartum kind of things. I was like, I wonder if that may be what was going on. But because of the stigma, I didn't really reach out for help at that time. So I was just like, oh, I'll just deal with it. I'll just,
Yeah.
pray.
Suck it up.
Yeah, I'll be, and so, and later on, what I actually found out was that it's called postpartum anxiety. And that's a little bit different from the depression. It's not
Yeah.
as much, you know, the feeling of woe is me, I can't take care of this baby. It's like kind of like a hypersensitivity to everything that's going on with your child. Like, oh, am I doing this? Am I doing that? Oh, I need to bring them to the doctor, even though I just brought them to the doctor because of this or because of that. And like, it's like this heightened awareness and like just this constant anxiousness that like something like the other shoe is about to drop, essentially. I found out later on, when I was attending a MOPS session. Actually, this was 2.5, almost 3 years later, when we had a
Sure.
mental health specialist come and talk about postpartum depression and different mental health things. I was like, oh, okay, that's probably what that was. And so when I had my daughter back in 2022, I started feeling the same things again. I was like, oh goodness, here we go, all over again. But this time
Mm.
I kind of knew how to combat it, how to, come at it. And so I
Yeah.
did reach out for the help. I did reach out for the counseling at that point, because I was like, I can't, I can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah. And you got to be healthy yourself to be able to take care of others. And that's, physically as well as mentally. And so that's when I reached out for the counseling and kind of walked through practical things to kind of help me when I was feeling anxious, because I had a very difficult pregnancy with my daughter. And so, like, I dealt with a lot of health challenges with her. And so once she was born, I was like, kind of on edge. And
Yeah.
so the counseling kind of helped me to be less on edge with certain things when it came to her. So,
Mm.
hmm
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Jasmine. And,
hmm
I can only imagine, especially, it's being in the seat, right, of a first lady or a pastor's wife, right? You're supposed to have it all together, right? So
hmm
you're
hmm
under a microscope in essence. You couldn't deal with it
hmm hmm
alone. Some of us
hmm
about
Right. And because of that, and because I didn't really know what it was, that's kind of why I didn't reach out for the help initially, that first, go around with it. I was just like, oh, okay, I'll just, we'll just deal with it. Very, very close, like family members knew, but I didn't really like talk about it outside of that. So
what did you expect postpartum to feel like, and what surprised you the most about it?
I kind of like, just like after I got married, I had the whole like rainbows and butterflies kind of thing.
Right,
Like,
right.
oh,
Mhm.
you're great.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be wonderful. But then, you're up at 2 and 3 a.m. Like I knew I was gonna be up, but I didn't like realize, because he was a very voracious eater. And so he wanted, and I was
Mhm.
breastfeeding. And so,
Yeah.
and then I found out when I was breastfeeding that I had one side that was producing more than the other. And so that was challenging because
Yeah.
going
Because you couldn't flip.
was latching on the other side. And so it was
Yeah.
a lot of challenges. And then like he would be crying and stuff. And I'd be like, I don't know what's wrong with you. And so, and of course, with the anxiety too, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
do we need to bring him in? Like, what's going on? And then he had
Yeah.
some also health challenges early on, which made the
Mhm.
anxiety even more. We later found out that he had asthma. We found out
Mhm.
is maybe about 1 years old, 1.5 years old, that some of the challenges that we were experiencing with him was due to the fact that he had asthma. And so,
Mm.
which he still has to this day. But
Mm.
yeah. So I kind of expected it to go like a certain way. I knew it wasn't going to be all, perfect
Right.
and well and
Right.
good, but at the same time, I just didn't know like how hard it was going to be, especially like, I had the help, but sometimes I didn't always know how to be like, okay, this is my child. This is how I want to do it. Or these are the books that I've read. These are the things that I researched. This is kind of the way. And then, you have you know, uh, other people saying, "Oh no, well, this is the way that it
Yeah.
was done back in the day, and so it
Yeah.
needs to be done this way." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, yes," and not to negate that at all, but at the
Right.
same time, this is kind of what I feel comfortable doing. And so, yeah, it was just those kind of challenges that was just hard to really speak up and vocalize about. So,
I love that. I think because we all like you said, we all read in a book, or we always have that expert friend that tell us if
yeah,
like this is what it is. I'm diagnosing
right,
you, or you
right,
go on Google, you self-diagnose yourself. So then all of a sudden you're chasing what you think it might be. So I always like to like point out, what it looked like, or what did you expect it to look like. So when did you first realize that you were experiencing something that's just outside of like the baby blues? Just, this is a little
yeah.
bit serious.
Yeah, because I had read about the baby blues, and that was like it was like a 2 week thing, and when it had gone on for like a month, and then 2 months, and then three
Yeah.
months, and then
Yeah.
we're going on 6 months now. Like,
Mm.
okay, yeah, this is a little
Uh-huh.
bit more, yeah, than
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
I want to ask you, as far as like having that help, how did that conversation go when you may have went to your husband or your mom and said, "Hey, this I'm kind of suffering with this, and I don't know what this is." How did that conversation go?
So some of those conversations didn't really happen until they didn't happen in the moment. They happened like later. Um,
Mm.
some
Yeah.
of them even happened like after I had my daughter and after, the second time.
Oh.
Yeah, going through because at that time, like I didn't really know what to say because I didn't know
Mm.
what's going on. So how do you explain what you don't know?
Got
You don't know what you don't know. So
Right.
how do you explain that? And so,
Mm.
but I remember when I was talking to my husband after I had my daughter, and we were sitting in our townhouse, and I was like, I think I'm having some feelings that like it was similar to the first time after we had,
Mhm.
our oldest son. And I was like, I think I want to get some counseling. And he was like, yeah, you should definitely do that. And because we were both more aware, and like as I was going through counseling, I would share things that we would talk about not everything, but I would share some things that we were talking about with counseling. So he was even able to better help that second time because he knew what was going on. The first time neither one of us knew what was going on, but this time he knew what was going on, and so we were both kind of able to coach each other through that.
I love that. I love that. Getting it out
Mhm.
and holding it. I think so often, sometimes the enemy, he wants us to keep silent. He wants us to struggle and battle with these feelings alone. And we're so afraid of what people are going to say. We're so afraid that we don't have the words for it. And I believe that's when the enemy attacks us the most, because he's like, she too scared. She ain't gonna go say nothing because she wants to do this or, do that. But it's when we're able to like vocalize, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling. I'm suffering in silence. I'm suffering. I need help." And man, I can relate to that so much. I mean, I didn't know I needed help, to be honest with you. So I can relate to that as well.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
so
Like how do you know? You don't
sorry.
know. So yeah.
Mm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. I want to ask you,
Mhm.
you grew up in church. Now you're a pastor. So what role, did faith come in and kind of begin to combat these postpartum seasons that you experience? And did you feel like it was your anchor, the only thing that was keeping you sustained? And did you ever wrestle with God during these times?
Yeah, like the first time especially I did because I was like, well, and we all go through it. Like, well,
Yeah.
I go to church, I'm
Yeah.
faithful. Like, why am I
Yeah.
going through this? Um,
Guys.
and so the second time, because, and also I went to a Christian counselor, when I went through
Mm,
counseling. And so
yeah.
she was giving me like scriptures to help, like refocus and
Mm-hmm.
reframe. And the whole focus of my counseling was like retraining my brain. Like your brain, when things happen, your brain goes to like hyper panic mode. So let's
Yeah.
retrain that, and how do you do that? Practically with scriptures, with prayer, with, you're still going to experience things, but when you do, you have those things to kind of help reframe and retrain your thoughts, because it all starts in the mind, right? It all starts.
Yeah.
So, so that's the
Mm.
practical part of like the renewing your mind and transforming your mind to think on those things, which he would have you to do. So,
I like that. I like that. I like that. Joyce Meyer wrote a book called The Battlefield of the Mind. Oh, I read that thing twice. Well, I've listened to
yes, it
it.
is
It's
so
so
good.
good.
I need to reread it
It is so
again.
good. It is so, 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 so good because I believe that, as you said, we have to remind ourselves who God says we are because the enemy loves to trick us. We're like, that is me. No, it's not. God did not say that that is you. Let me ask you, how did your relationship with God shift and begin to go deeper as you work through some of these mental, emotional
Mhm.
challenges?
Yeah, so what was really helpful was the Psalms, like reading through the Psalms. And I never like really, before I read through it at that mental state that I was in, I can kind of relate to David, because David was going through emotional, just all kind of emotions. He was experiencing everything. And so I can kind of relate, because I was like, oh, he's pouring out, he's crying out. And so
Mm.
I can do the same, I can do the same thing.
Hold on, you gotta go a little bit deeper just for those who may not know. You're absolutely right. I love how you said that because I do believe that David was going through it. And
Mhm.
David was just bold enough to just be like, God, why have you forsaken me? Don't leave.
Right,
So
right,
I love that. I mean, he
right.
was like having a full on conversation with God. Like he was angry at times.
Right, yeah, and yeah,
Right?
and he wasn't afraid to like show that anger or show like, and that's what he wants us to do. He wants us to show those emotions. He created them, and he put those emotions in us, and so he's not, we shouldn't be scared or fearful
Right.
to like really show our emotions and the depth of them. And so reading through the Psalms just kind of helped, again, retraining the brain about it's okay to like express yourself emotionally, because David went through it, and other biblical characters too, not just David.
Right.
And they weren't afraid to be that like brutally honest.
That's good. Oh, you make I want to go deeper on that. Now look, like now I want to like dive a little bit deeper. Okay. So what would you say to some women who are feeling guilty or they are struggling with this mentality where they should just be grateful and just be happy?
Yeah, yeah, and you see that a lot on like, of course, social media. Everybody,
Oh,
has the comparison on social media, like, oh, everything is so well and good and everything's perfect. No, social media is a
yeah.
highlight reel. It's
Come on.
not all going to be well and good and perfect all the time. And again, going to like
Mm,
vulnerable, being honest. I was listening to a podcast earlier this week, I believe, and he was talking about vulnerability. It was Rick Warren, and he was talking about like vulnerability, how people are um endeared when you're being vulnerable. Like that
mm,
brings people closer together, because when
yeah.
we share our highlight reels, that doesn't bring us closer together. That's just like, oh, well, their life is perfect, and I don't relate to that because I have problems going on in my life. But
Yeah.
when we're like, oh, you're going through all that and like you're still being used by God, then I can do that too. And so Yeah, so that vulnerability and like just being open and honest and like, hey, things aren't all, perfect
Cheated.
and rainbows all the time. Like there are times of the mountaintop, but there also are times of the valley. And like he created both and he's with you in both. And so.
So what would you say to some women who, were programmed to say, "Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm doing fantastic." What would you say to some of these women who have that friend that they don't want to really burden, but they know that that's a trusted resource when they ask, "Hey, Jasmine, how are you doing today?"
Mm-hmm,
What would you
mm-hmm.
say? What would you say for them to say? Do you just unload on them, or do you just keep it to
Well,
yourself, or how do you address that? You know what? I'm heavy today.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hazel.
Well, I find that like asking people or telling people to pray for you in certain ways or asking people how can you pray for them, that kind of opens the door to those
Mm,
conversations. To be like, well,
mm,
I really just need you to pray for me with this today. And they're like, oh, okay. What's going on? Like, that opens the door to those
good.
kind of conversations to really
Right.
open up and be vulnerable about, it's not just, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm good. So,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
I like that. That's good. That's good. That's good. And then I believe
mm-hmm,
that in prayer, God can lay on your heart what it is that that person needs without, you taking on all their load, if you will. Like
exactly.
that you're giving it to God. Look, God, let me give this to you. You can help my sister. You can help your daughter.
Right.
I like it because sometimes our load be too heavy. We can't be taking on other people's stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's bring this to the Lord. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so how did becoming a mother affect affect your sense of identity?
Like a lot of people, I feel like, and that I've talked to, we find like our identity and what we do are like, that's the first thing when you meet somebody. What do you do? I work here, I work there, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm a working mom, or, whatever it is. And so as I've grown in motherhood, I've kind of learned that that's a part of who I am, but that's not who I am fully. And the more I've grown in my personal relationship with God, the more I've discovered that, your identity, like it's fully and it's in him. And so that's what your identity is. And all these other things that you do, and like it says in scripture, he created you for good works, and like motherhood is one of those good works. And if you work in a secular or even if you work in a Christian environment, those are good works that he created for you, but that's not kind of who you are. And so, early on in my motherhood, once I kind of got through the whole anxiety thing, I was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years,
Yeah.
and with my oldest son. And then I have another daughter, a 9-year-old daughter. And so when she was born, I was a stay-at-home mom with her. And so that kind of became my identity, like the whole stay-at-home mom thing. And I do all the stay-at-home mom things, but again, as I learned, the more I studied and had like that personal time, my personal devotional time, the more I learned that's just a part of your identity. That's not your full identity.
I love that. I love the way that you put that as well, Jasmine. And, finding out, that these little, not little, but these big
Mm-hmm.
pieces of, I wrote a post about this the other day. These big pieces of different things. Maybe it's your ministry, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your
Mm-hmm.
marriage. These are part of what creates your identity, but your full identity is in Christ. So I want to talk about deepening that identity and understanding that identity. So was there ever a moment where you realized that you were tying your worth, if you will, to your productivity and the outcome of all these different moving pieces
Yeah.
um, to your relationship with God and your true identity?
Yeah, yeah. And so I think kind of the way I got caught up with that was like the whole social media thing, like, posting things on Facebook and social
Yeah.
media and Instagram. And so I was like trying to find worth and identity in that and like show, oh, here's
Mm,
where I went with my kids and I did this with my
mm,
kids and I'm doing this and that and this
yeah.
and that.
Yeah.
And we're doing, all the things. But that's not like who you are. That's not who you were created to be. It's a part, but it's not, in full. And something that I don't know if you've read it before, but a book that really helped, it was by Hosanna Wong, is called You Are More Than You've Been Told. And so
Mm,
that kind of talks about different spiritual disciplines and rhythms that you can that you walk through related to your identity in Christ. Things like
mm,
resting in Him, that's part of it. Things like having community, that's a part of it. And another thing was like, again, just like when I was in counseling, like just having those go-to scriptures that when I kind of went back to that a little bit, or like feeling like, oh, that's where the worth is coming from, then having those scriptures again, retraining, refocusing your mind on
yeah.
those things that he would have you to be and he would have you to think. And so like I just had like scriptures that I would write down, and I had like a book of them and I would just go back to, and just you know some of
Refine
them I
yourself.
even memorized so that
Yeah.
I would have that in my head when I would kind of go back to thinking that way or trying to, have that be a focus.
I love that. Okay, I had to write it down. Hosanna Wong, and the
Yes.
book is called "Who?"
No,
Oh,
it's
you are
you
more
are
than.
more than you've been told. Yes. I
Definitely like
highly recommend that book. It is an
that's a really
excellent
good book.
book. Yes. Hmm.
Mm, okay, I had to write that down.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And it
you.
talks about like lies that people believe and like how to about themselves and about their identity and how to reframe. So yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
I love that. Okay, what helped you to start to rebuild your identity in Christ outside of the roles that you play that you played? Excuse me, outside of the roles that you filled.
I guess when we moved back to New Orleans maybe about 4 years ago. It was back in 2021. It was during COVID. And so during that time, there was just a lot of life transition going on. We had been at our church in Florida for 6 years. I had been a stay-at-home mom for all that
Yeah.
time. And so now we were back here, back in New Orleans. I started working again, remotely. And our church that we were going back to, it was COVID, so there wasn't really a lot going on. Like I was very involved at our church in Florida, but when we came back here, there wasn't really a lot going on, and it took a while for things to kind of come back. And so that's when I realized that, like, before we moved, I was kind of like getting my worth and my identity from, oh, I do this at our church and I do that at our church. And, I'm a
Mm,
part of this and I'm a part of that. And, I help
mm,
in this area and I help in that area. And so I came back here and like, I don't have that
mm,
anymore. And
mm, mm,
so, yeah, and that's something still that I kind of not struggle with. I'm at a better place mentally with that, but now I'm not trying to like strive to like, oh, I have to do this or oh, I have to do that. It's more of like a serving out of the outpouring and overflow of what he's put in me, or and what others have put in me, and not serving because, oh, look at me, I'm doing this, and look at me, I'm
yeah.
doing that. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. That is so good. Ooh, you just said something that I think that we all can relate to, because I believe in 2020 when God set us all down, okay? It didn't matter how much money you had, didn't matter how, whatever. God set us all down. And I felt like he just said, you know what? We are putting our identity in all these things, and, things, people, things that become our idols. And God was saying, no, I need you to put your identity in me. I'm going to reveal to you who you are. Man, and that was such an eye-opening season for us all. And I love the way you just put that too, because I think it brought it back to probably what we all were being reprogrammed to say, we're tearing down everything that we thought made us who we are and put our focus on Christ. I love that, Jasmine. Jasmine, I want to ask you, you serve many women through your ministry. And I love that about you. You serve many moms since 2018. What kinds of support do you think that women really need after having the baby?
I think people just need to be they just need community, and they need to be heard and know that their experiences are valued and valid. And yeah, that community is just because I know when I moved to Florida, or when our family moved to Florida and I became part of MOPS, I didn't know anybody. Like, we had no family or anything. And so I became a part of that community, and I was like, oh, wow, and it kind of helped me, because I was like, oh, this is kind of something that I've been missing. Because even when I experienced, the anxiety and stuff the first time, I didn't really have like any community. Like, I didn't know about moms groups. There was no moms groups in the area that I knew of, at least at that time. And so I didn't experience anything as far as like mentally when I had my older daughter, and I think a big part of that was because I had that community.
Yeah. I love that. So community definitely matters. And, so you're not feeling alone. You're not isolated. What would you say to some moms who feel isolated in their struggle? Maybe because they have no one around them who truly understands. What would you say to some of those moms?
I would definitely encourage them that, they may feel alone, but they're not. Go to parks, out in your community, like talk to people, because people aren't always going to come to you. So, be bold, reach out to people, but also know that, people aren't everything. Also, community is great, but people aren't everything. You got to have that personal time, in the word, in the scriptures, that time with the Lord. That's all you really need. The community is just is something extra beneficial to have, but as long as you've got that strong relationship and connection with the Lord, then that's really all you need. And and pray for people to surround you and to come and help you, and to help you not feel so much alone, because he'll bring the people, but you've got to ask, and you've got to make those moves and make those steps.
I love that, Jasmine. You're absolutely right. How can churches and ministries better support women facing postpartum and mental health challenges?
I feel like making it something that's not stigmatized, like making it something like, hey, or, I may not have experienced this, but everybody's experience is different. And so it's okay. Like, I think the phrase is, it's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay there. And so
Yes.
if it's not okay to stay there, then provide the resources and the help to kind of bring you out of those places. And so I know something that our church does is they do a mental health forum. That's kind of community wide, like church wide. It's not specific to that area, but I think definitely having again, that community, or like small groups, because not everybody wants to share everything in a big group. I'm one of those people. And so having like a small group setting where they can be open and vulnerable and share those kind of things. And others can provide the resources to kind of help them walk through that.
I like that. I like it. More programs like that. I do believe I agree with you too. I don't want to tell my business in a big setting.
Mm-mm.
For times like this. Let me ask you, what are some warning signs that new moms and those around new moms should pay attention to when it comes to mental health and postpartum?
Just kind of not feeling like yourself. You know, the baby blues that I believe that's like 2 weeks after. But if you're still not feeling like yourself after that, or if you're having just some symptoms that feel off, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, just things just don't feel right, then your body will tell you. And so listen to it and go and reach out and get the help and the resources that you need to kind of help walk through that.
That's good. That's good. And for someone who's listening right now who is in the middle of their postpartum valley right now, what is one thing that they need to hear from you today?
Your story matters and you're not alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you won't get the help if you don't reach out and you don't ask for it. And so I would say don't be scared to reach out and get the help that you need, because again, like I said earlier, you can't be the best parent for your child if you're not healthy physically and mentally. And so just get the help that you need so that you can be the best mom, the best parent for your child, because you're setting the example for them. So
I like that. I love it, love it, love it. Don't be afraid to get help. If this episode has spoken to you today, right now, and you're saying to yourself, man, this is me, this is me, this is me. And if you said it more than 2-3 times, this might be you. And it might be that time that you need to get help, as Jasmine just said. And it is okay. It is okay. It is, what did you say, Jasmine? It is okay not to be okay. But it's not okay to
stay there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's so good. Jasmine, thank you so much for coming here, pouring at the well. I looked up and I was like, oh my goodness, like we have clear.
That went by too fast.
It really did. It really did. Jasmine, where can we follow you? I know that you are inching back into social media, but where can we begin to follow you? Where can we reach out to you? Pick your brain if we have some questions.
Yes, so I'm on Facebook, Jasmine Luter. That's just my name, on Facebook, and then on Instagram as well as at Mama You Are Loved. And that's just, I post a lot of inspirational scriptures and things like that. A lot of it from just other accounts that I follow that are theologically sound and spiritually sound. And I'll share things from that, just to, one of my spiritual gifts is exhortation. And so just, I use social media really more so to encourage others, not to really put the focus on me, but to encourage others.
I love it. I love what. Oh, okay, I'm not going to get into it. We don't have time, but I do love. I love. Look, no, I'm gonna tell you. I love when we know our assignment, and God makes it very clear. And we really get to move and work in those gifts and that purpose and that calling. So I like that, Jasmine. Okay, Jasmine, thank you so much for coming, pouring at the well. You are
so much. Yes, I appreciate you. And for those listening, keep following. I watch your Instagram and your posts, and they encourage me. So.
Oh, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for pouring at the well. Every story matters. Every story matters. Every story. I always say this. We all have a group of people, a bunch of people, women, men, children that are waiting for us to tell our story. God has connected you. He has assigned these people to you. And if you do not tell your story, you are letting them down. So I thank you so much for bringing your story here to this well, Jasmine. Ladies, if you are blessed by this episode, we ask that you send it to a friend, send it to a family member. Don't give them an explanation saying, hey, this one is for you. If you don't know the right words and how to address someone who may be going through postpartum anxiety or depression, send this to them. This may be able to save their life. So please, we ask that you follow Woman Witness Podcast, follow Jasmine on social media. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss another episode. We don't want you to miss another episode. Jasmine, before I let you go, let you out of here, leave something here at this well that will keep us until we're in the presence of God again, maybe our next Bible study group. Give us a scripture, give us a saying, give us something.
The scripture that I said was it was 1 Peter 2:9, and it talks about you're a royal priesthood, you're a holy nation, a people of his own possession. And so knowing that, to just go walk in it.
That is good. Yes. Oh, we can go deep on that. And this is our inheritance. We don't even have to do anything, right? We don't have to do anything. We don't have to, go outside and, post a million, but this is our inheritance. We are a royal priesthood. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's good. Pull that up, read it, ladies, meditate on it. Let God speak to your heart through it. And perhaps you will be a blessing to someone else. They'll be able to see the love of Christ in you and see that their inheritance is in them as well. Thanks, Jasmine. That was good. That was so good. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Woman Witness Podcast on the Woman Witness TV network. I'm your host, Leah Fortier, and perhaps you were chosen for such a time as this to write, to tell your story, your truth. Until next time, bye, y'all.